Fiona, if you could share with us.
So, as the panel was being introduced, Barbara said to me, "What are we doing here?" Or maybe she said, "What are you doing here?" But she meant that with love. No, and here's the thing, right? Every one of you has a gift that it is your job and your responsibility to bring to the world, right? Every one of us, every child, every adult, every man, every woman has something that the world needs. And I think for me, so we've just been through some stuff in the last 6 weeks, Comrade Choice has, and there were days that I literally didn't want to get out of bed, and I wanted to pull the covers over my head, and I wanted to scream at the Cape Cod Times, and I wanted to quit, because this is too hard. This is way too hard. Don't you get it? Don't you get it? I started this because kids were killing themselves. Don't you get it that one of my daughter's friends was murdered? Don't you get it that I was a mom that witnessed children's lives coming undone, and all I wanted to do was help kids so that they didn't have to go through what I went through, and there were other moms that didn't have to go through what I went through? Don't you get it? Right? And so driven for me was getting out of bed. Driven for me was holding my head high. Driven for me was not yelling at the Cape Cod Times. Driven for me was actually keeping my mouth shut and doing my job, right? And that's what it is. So one child at a time, one program at a time, one superintendent at a time, one national representative at a time. That's, it's out, and that's what I say to you guys, and really what hopefully you will walk away from today is within every single one of you, there's a story that needs to be told. And it's not going to be told if you don't have the courage to get out there and tell it, right? So, there. Sorry, now it's your turn.
Aren't we better together than we are apart? Thank you so much, and thank you for your honesty. Thank you for your honesty and for sharing that, because how many of us feel like that from time to time? We just want to pull up the covers, and to hear it from you makes a huge difference, so thank you. Okay, Fiona, thank you so much for hanging in there. You know, we all have rough days, we all have rough moments, and I think, and you'll probably agree, that it is cathartic when you have those rough moments to step back and to talk about your mission and your vision, and to remind yourself what it's all about, and then to speak it. So if you could just take a moment or two and share with us what, Calmer Choice. Love the title, and you've done such incredible work. If you could please share with our audience today, we would so appreciate it.
Thank you. And I'm just sitting, I'm like in such awe of the women that I'm sitting up here with. It's just like remarkable to me. And it's all about service, right? Giving back. So the story of a little girl who was in third grade, or is in third grade at a school on the Cape, and spoke directly to what you were talking about. And I was sitting up here doing 5-finger breathing while I was listening, But there's a story of a little girl who, we always ask, how have you used what you've learned in Calmer Choice? Have you used your mindfulness? And this little girl raised her hand, and she said, last night, my mom was arrested, and I hid in my closet, and I practiced my 5-finger breathing, and it made me feel better, right? And I think about the truth of the matter is Calmer Choice started working with a group of teens at Barnstable High School that happened to be in my daughter's grade, though she had run away by the time the program got there. And just to say, she's doing amazingly well today. But we've since now worked with over 6,000 children. We primarily work with elementary school kids, and we were at a meeting with a superintendent this week who said, well, what about just after-school programs, And I said, here's the deal. I said, you don't know who's sitting in that classroom silently suffering. You don't know what these kids are dealing with at home. So we deal with schools. We deal with classrooms full of children. And you're right, we don't know which one of those children are coming from abuse or neglect or living in cars because they're homeless. We don't know that, but we do know that what we teach is this ability to find a quiet place within yourself regardless of what's going on, right? And we teach them, awareness training, and we teach them about their fight-flight response. And so we teach them that when and this goes for all of us, right? When you're in a situation where you have a part of your brain called your amygdala, and I'll do a little brain science lesson here. So we have an amygdala in our brain. Our brain is like under our skull, right? The amygdala is the old part of the brain that is really important. And so in the olden days, when you were on the savannah and a tiger would come and attack you or run at you, would just run. You wouldn't think about, well, I wonder if that tiger's hungry, and I wonder if I, no, you just run, right? And that's what it's made for, and that's really important. And then there's the prefrontal cortex, which is up here, and we teach the kids their PFC or their wise owl. And your prefrontal cortex is all of your ability to make good choices, ability to regulate yourself, your ability to be able to read, the emotions in another person. And what we teach the kids, and I would say to you, and this is for us as well, is when you are in fight-flight, which unfortunately a lot of kids are in all the time, they're always, then you flip your lid, we say. So the prefrontal cortex literally goes offline, and so you don't have the ability to find that place within yourself. But we teach them that there's skills where they can breathe in and pause and breathe out and breathe in. And what happens is your prefrontal cortex goes online again. And then you can ground yourself and you can find that place within yourself. And so, our mission today is really to reach all the kids on the Cape. There's 25,000 children on Cape Cod. We've reached about 6,000 of those. And the other piece that I would say, and this actually was the benefit, I suppose, of what we walked through in the last 6 weeks, is on a collaboration standpoint, that we have become the model for secular mindfulness in the nation, and that we are convening a group of other mindfulness and education folks in upstate New York in June to actually talk about what it looks like to do what we do. But it's about not being in competition with, but collaborating with, and looking at this group of women here, it's really about, that's what this is all about. It's about collaboration, finding people within this room that have a common, similar mission to yourself, So I think that ability, and I know there's a workshop, a couple of workshops today that deal with stress, that ability to find that place within yourself to kind of settle so that you can make good decisions for yourself rather than reacting. So mindfulness is, you have a thought and you have the action. It's creating that space, that pause between the thoughts so that you can respond rather than react. And I think that's so important today, like even looking at bullying, which is, is the beginning of the violence that happens, and really looking at how do we help this nation to be a kinder, calmer place. Right now there's a lot going on. So I'm just really, my vision, to create that is even greater today than it was when I started it, I think, because of what we were dealing with in the United States, but really around the globe. So that's all. Thanks.
That was incredible. I was thinking that never in a million years would we wish this lifestyle on these small children. But we all know that it's the perilous situations we live through sometimes that raise us up, that make us better people. And when you think of what they're going to be learning early on in life, don't you wish you had these skills when you were in 3rd grade? Right. So hang in there. And thank you so much for the work that you do.
So I'm a big believer in it takes a village to raise a child. And so I guess what I would say, what you can do to help Calmer Choice and to get this program out into your communities is to speak to your school's principal, guidance counselor, volunteer for us, donate. A lot of the issue we have is schools can't afford the program. So, I've got people here that have been funding us, and we're rowing the boat as fast as we can. So if it's something that speaks to you, I tell you, if everybody who said to me that's a great idea actually donated $1, we'd be in better shape. So it doesn't take much, but so volunteer, speak to your principal, in the local school in your district, and help out.
Happy to help you.
Thank
you.